Back in this thing. All right. Whew. Catch up. What was y'all saying? One love to Q, Ohio in the house. Big ups to Ohio. Now people be obsessed with you because we take looks and styles for granted and validation, but we forget that we're here on ourselves journey, and sometimes it's what you do to people that I do to myself. Facts. I'm learning from what at Q you said about seeing beauty in your beast. Hey, I love this lady. This is inner being for him, but from my equal, open, opposite consciousness, because we are the same. Literally, my inner being is from Europe on the border of Spain. Shout out to you. Absolutely, they will come. I have found many of mine, some that I haven't worked with since I've been on. No room to listen, no room to receive. Do y'all blossoms? Do y'all blossom? You have to honor that where you come from. No, they go with you to bring you further. Wow, she hit some doors within me. She speaks for a collective. Somewhere along the line, we got hooked on seeing how much damage we could do fast. 25 $1 hollers. Thank you so much, Evan. Thank you. Appreciate it, family. 25 $1 hollers. Q being alone is a fear of connecting with one's true self. Now we can get into a society. Says about that, or what we're we're trained to build up, because you fracture resonance has no judgment. Okay, it's a fear of connecting with one's true self. Facts. Fear of what one is capable of, not the core of us. That is one of our greatest fears. Fear of what we are capable of. That freaked me out though when someone was in my house when I heard Q. $1 holla. All right, time to take another phone call. Okay, all right. I got you right here. Walker.
Yo.
Peace, bro. How you living?
I'm good, King. How you feeling?
Living my best life. For sure.
I really want to come on. I was listening earlier. I heard everybody in their spirit come through. I'm really eager to hear how people are receiving what's going on around them. I know my shit has been chaotic and ordered up and down. Just want to reflect everybody.
For sure. Yeah, it's been a journey, but at least based on what we have observed so far in this journey, it is getting, lack of better words, a little easier. People are being a little more receptive to this information. People are becoming a little more awoke, for lack of better words. So I pay attention to the small things before I worry about the large things. So that is something I can acknowledge and appreciate.
Absolutely. Yeah. I did have a question for you.
All right.
I did want to know, well, I guess not necessarily know. I really do want to hear what it is you think of the future in terms of, I guess I'm asking, what do you think, which button is pressed the most in bringing forth the future? We're kind of trying to solidify, or I guess even unknowingly solidifying right now.
So are you asking which likely future do I see? Is that for humanity? I mean, of all the different possibilities, of all the different things that could happen, are you kind of asking which is the most likely, in my opinion?
Well, really, I'm asking, what do you think the means of travel to and from that future are going to look like? What do you think is going to be our best way to get to whatever future we want? And really, whatever the future is that we're making nonetheless, like whether we want it or not.
Okay, well, we have to first define what future we want. And I mean, whether people are acknowledging it or not, the future that they want is a digital future where everything is digital, including yourself. So whether they are aware of this being a future or a want, this is the future that they are claiming to pay for. And that kind of defines the want on this planet, what you spend your money on. So the future, in essence, is a digital one. And digital is being traveled right now through what we would call the internet, and through what we would call devices. So right now, I see the future is going to be through the internet and devices. So the human is going to become more like this device, and our communication is going to be more through an internet. So I don't think humans will be speaking maybe about 10 years from now. That would be something we would no longer need or want to do. It takes too long. So we will be speaking through a internet. Now, this is people who choose to do this inorganically. Those that are ready to take on the superpowers that they may obtain December 21st, they will be able to do this probably through like a telekinesis system and be able to communicate and talk to people through telekinesis. So then that would still be the same concept where they wouldn't talk, we wouldn't talk. So no talking would be one of the things I see as a future vehicle or means of travel in the future. And we will be traveling via devices. Now, this might sound a little weird, but you have to understand that a ship is called an etherical ship. And etherical ship has the ability to travel physicality and the astral realm. And I'm not going to really get into the specifics of what an astral realm is, but this etherical ship is often what people claim to see when it takes on like certain shapes, triangles, cigars. Sometimes these are like shapes. And these shapes are actually a manifestation of a physical being that is traveling via that ship, via that etherical ship. They have materialized themselves into a physical ship per se, and they're actually traveling space-time in that vehicle. So that actually is an organic system. And then of course you have ones that are made out of real metal and things like that. So of course, then that would be the inorganic way. So I'm just kind of trying to show you the two different ways of the same purpose.
Would you say those shapes, those etheric ships, would then there be reflections of the astral as a sort of etheric ship that is?
Yes, it is. It's an embodiment, but that's what a shape is. A shape is an embodiment. Yes, it's an embodiment of something previously. So say a square, where a square is an embodiment of two triangles. So it's like a shape within a shape, like a world within a world.
So what would you say in terms of this future? And I'm sorry, I'm going to take you all over the thing. But what would you say in terms of this future will come in the saying of the mother of your nature?
So the mother of your nature is your mind. So basically, but that's not the only part of your nature. Your nature, of course, is outside of you. But basically, you have to think of the idea. You are what you eat. That's nature. And it feeds your mind. But you are also a product of your environment. So the product of your environment then becomes what you will refer to as your identity. So your identity is the product of your environment. You define yourself based on your environment. If you are a black man, you define yourself as a black man because of your environment. If you are Asian, you are defining yourself as Asiatic because of your environment. So you're always going based on your environment. You have to remember that.
So then you would be going based off of reflection.
Yes.
This whole period. So if you only go based off of reflection, this is what I saw your live before. I said, well, not yours, on Brother Richard. And I heard people kind of get away from the question of you posing whether or not we would go by means of a sun. Is there a sun? Do we even have to pay attention to the idea of the sun? And they come down and say, no shade whatsoever. All love. Too.
No, I know, but this is just what I just wish we as a people can get ready to start talking about. Advanced topics. We are talking about the same shit over and over and over again. No shade given. I'm just ready to be on a council that is now ready to talk on these type of topics and not just brush them over like they don't matter.
Well, a council means they've been chosen. Who chooses?
Say it again.
I said, well, council would mean they've been chosen. Who chooses? Who's ready to choose?
The people. It's the people. The people have always been the ones that get to choose. But the people are feeding or watching past things because they're used to living in the past, where it's not even comfortable for a person on the listener to even listen to this type of topic because it's uncomfortable. It reflects a future. And most people are not prepared or ready to digest a future because they haven't even digested their past.
I appreciate your time. Of course, I would want to keep going, but I also want to listen to what, you know.
I thank you so much for valuing the time of others. Thank you, family. All right, you too. I know on the app they're looking for a council.
Hello?
Peace, family. How you living?
Hello?
Can you hear me?
Of course I can hear you. How are you today?
Wonderful. Yourself?
I'm living.
Okay.
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
All right. Do you have any question or comment,
yes,
concern?
I do.
Okay.
My first question is, okay, in my dreams, I've actually been a person that if I'm sleep deprived, I can see things.
Okay. So are you asking?
And I can travel, time travel. Okay, to remote areas. I can feel.
Okay. So
have you ever experienced that?
Yes. So there was a period in my life for about 2 to 3 years where I would probably explain my behavior as reckless. So I was probably on the brink of dehydration, starvation, and insanity at probably different periods during that time. So yes, you then become what you would call lucid. And in a lucid or altered state, you have the tendency to unravel or unlock your DNA, and raveled up inside of that DNA, in the easiest way of explaining it, are ancestral energies that have experienced very similar traumas, very similar expressions that you are currently dealing with. Like I said, the starvation, dehydration, etc. So they actually come forward as a collective and actually give you what you would call assistance or help.
Oh my God.
And
exactly what it is.
We have
it feels so different. I don't fear, and it's I used to fear it when it happened. It just hasn't happened lately, and I'm wondering why is it not happening when I want it to happen?
Well, because you got comfortable with only triggering it during trauma. So I've gotten comfortable of accessing it through another frequency.
Teach me.
Well, that would I'll just say what I would advocate would be to start really creating exercises of trust within one's heart and one's mind. The strongest entities or energies of what you would call a universe are dwelling within your heart and your mind. Now, of course, they use a masculine deity that dwells within your throat. But nevertheless, the strongest entities of this universe is dwelling within your heart and your mind. And unfortunately, they do not get along. So it is your job to be the ship, the temple, the vessel to console, to mother or father these entities, these children, so that they can get better along and equipped to being in sync and in tune. And of course, they're in a tomb. A tomb would be your body, but they're in a tomb, so you can attune them.
What's really weird about it is I'm a nurse, so I worked at a prison. And when I was sleep deprived, because they would hold us over because they could, in my dreams, I actually saw it's the female one, the one with the tail, that looked like a cat. And in that moment, my eyes were closed, but my eyes were open, and I saw it walk in from my window in my bedroom. And I thought to myself, oh, I'm not going to be scared because what's happening so frequently. But then when I saw the tail, I became, fearful because it didn't look like a human anymore to me. And I found out later, I'd never seen it before, but I was describing it to someone and they said, oh, you saw a sycophus. That's the female version. And that energy from being at a prison where, so much sexuality stuff is going on, so much trauma going on, I felt like that's what may have created it too. But now, since I don't work there, but I've been watching you. I actually watch you every day because you're the only black person that talks about things that makes my spirit feel like, not like I believe, but I know. I'm in a different place now, so I know these things are real and I don't fear them. So that's why I was saying I wanted you to teach me, because I've had different traumas. Like my mother died from drugs, grandmother raised us and she died. So I raised all my brothers and sisters. But now what I'm living in is that I don't identify with them anymore. You know, that energy I used to raise them, that energy does not sustain me anymore.
I understand. Have you had a regression?
I've never had a regression.
All right. I would definitely suggest that as the first means of entering this. So I have been doing this work for a little over 3 years now, and I've spoke with several clients. And interesting enough, of all the clients that I've spoke on, I often ask my client, you know, what made you want to get a regression? And they often express to me different applications, different purposes. But the one that stood out to me the most was from a male. And this oddly enough, because A, I don't even like men. And B, I don't feel like men are that in tune. So I'm biased towards men. I'll say that. You know, I'm biased towards myself. So nevertheless, maybe I'm talking about myself. I'll admit that. Either way, he said he's doing this work because this is the first step towards his shadow work. He actually was able to connect that his subconscious is associated with what we will refer to as a shadow or shadow work. And in order to get into anyone's shadow, you have to go through the gateway or means of one's subconscious. You know, so I was just, you know, very happy to know that as I engage with different people, as the time progresses, I see the conversation progressing. I see the awareness progressing. And I don't know how many workers are out here. I was on this app Clubhouse, and there was these couple from Hawaii who do the work that I do. And they were bragging how they charge $1,500 for a session and how they're super backed up and that this is for the elite. And I'm just like, man, this is why we're messed up in the first place. You know, like.
Right. Exactly. I feel like you being biracial, you can say and you can move them out amongst the conversation with people, and you're like no real person in the fight. You're very neutral because you could look at things from any prospect, mindset. But I feel like my moon sign is Libra, so I'm into justice. My sun sign is Pisces, that's why I'm a nurse. Mm-hmm. But my ascendant sign is Virgo. So I'm always analyzing people to see how long, because most people are fronting. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
They're saying what they know the people will move the people, but you can always see, for me, I can always tell when it's not truth. I watch you and I say like, wow, you can move between a lot of different scenarios. When I first saw you, I was like, your demeanor, I was watching your demeanor. And then I actually was listening, because the first time I saw you on television, I was listening. The second time I went to your personal channel, and I was like, wow, it's even deeper than you on Brother Rich's show. I was like, wow. So I actually watch you every day because I know you're not manipulating people. I feel truth in you. As a nurse, I'm very empathetic, so I'm an empath, so I can feel things. And I was like, if there's anyone that can help me, I went to, counseling when my mother died, because I tried to commit suicide before. Mm. And, I had trauma as a child, being left with people. I think there's a generation of people that have the same story that I have. And also, when I used to sleep too, I used to feel that something was coming into my room, and this is not being sleep deprived, but I actually forced that energy not to come back around me. Like 2 years ago, it hasn't come back because I was fearful when the energy would be beside me. It felt sexual. Mm. So I told it, I was like, get away from me. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Just different things, because we're all kind of sung brought up in church. For sure. But I ran away something I think that I needed, because now that I've been more getting to metaphysical parts of life, I'm not scared. Like when you're a child, you can go through being scared of the dark and a boogeyman. And in your life, you travel with that energy. But now I feel like I fulfilled something where I know I'm not fearful. And I feel like I want to tap into that energy with others because I know there's a generation of people that may not talk about it, but our parents, you know, going through being drug addicts and different things that we went through, and us acting like it's normal. And now we're in a life where we don't relate to the new version of people coming up. And I feel like that's a total abomination of the spirit. That's why we're so miserable, because people aren't telling the truth.
So you definitely have the power to quote unquote communicate to the dead. That actually was kind of what you just did just now, a little channel. So when you go through what you would call an act of suicide, this is an act of I don't want to use the word desperation, but just feel the vibration of the word. It's an act of desperation. It's an act of release. It's an act to escape. It's an act to let go. These are what these things do. Now, what you have to understand,
I was doing, everything was based on that.
For sure.
I didn't want to die. I just needed a rest.
For sure. And what that does is creates a certain environment to unlock a skill. So the skill is called scrying, and that's basically being able to see the dead, and not just see the dead, communicate with the dead. Now, the art of scrying is done through a mirror, but we often forget that the eyes are mirrors. So through the eyes, you literally have the power to scry. This is why when you are scrying, you often cry or shed tears, because anytime you do any type of spiritual work, you are always releasing. That's why when you do certain acts, you can catch people releasing something called ectoplasma that comes out of their mouth. Sometimes their nose bleeds, sometimes their ears bleed, sometimes they throw up. You are literally releasing these things during these constructs. So anyway, you created an environment to see the dead. Now, that skill, that opening, that reality is not going to be forgotten because you did not release. You're still here. But you're only used to doing it in a traumatic environment, thus starving yourself, thus sleep depriving yourself. Any of those things are kind of acts of death, are symbolic for death. So what you're really doing subconsciously is building or creating an environment so you can see into that world. You're going to have to get more comfortable with going into that world in trust and not going into that world in trauma. You're starting with T. You're starting right. You're actually starting right with the T and the R. But you're fucking up with the rest of the letters. All right? We need trust, not trauma.
And how can you trust when you've always been in an environment where you weren't protected? And then you go through a generation of the music that you hear. I was really thinking a lot about life. I said, wow, a lot of the death of me has come through music. Like I'm from the Tupac era, the death row. I'm from the West Coast. I lived through all of that. I physically saw all those people. And now when I listen to that music and I see where music has taken us. Also, I love your music as well. I think you're a dope writer. So the illusion that you produced in the mind, that's like the way that when I tried to rap, that's what rap fulfilled for me. And people liked it, but it just didn't take off or go anywhere. But I still therapeutically can do that within myself. Like I was raised alone, you know, like I was the oldest. So I was always enshrined with this protector type of mentality. So there's strength in words, but I don't even have that energy anymore. It's like, it doesn't matter. I'm recognizing you're not old. Your spirit is way older than your physical body could ever be. So we're actually in our youth. And I just feel like, you know, I need to take myself to another place so I can go back and kind of resuscitate other people and tell them it's okay to be. It's okay to feel like that. Let's go in truth. Let's go into trauma. Trust me with your trauma. I think that must be what I do with you, because I woke up today, I'm in Las Vegas. You know, last night I was out. I like to play cards. I like that feeling of control, but, you know, it's not always good if you're losing. And I'm like, I'm looking for something. I'm here and I'm not physically here. And I know I need something, you know, more. Because it's like what the music did. It makes you feel that, you know, you're immortal. And I'm at a place where I feel like I don't want to speak on things and be looked at like a conspiracy person. Like when you talk to people, it's like you're talking like in a language that people can't relate to you. But everything that you say, I feel like I can trust and I can look into it, or it feels like a little bit like it reminds me of something like that could have happened. Like before you started talking about Atlantis, I had been looking into that. And when you started talking about it, you added another layer to it.
Come on,
and I'm
now.
like, I just need more days of adding to this information. I feel like I'm a database. I feel open to so many different types of information. That's what I do like about you too, that I don't see you subscribing to any one identity. When I turn you on, it's just where you're at. And that I can definitely appreciate. And I want to do more of that myself. But it's the limitations that I think that I'm faced with just in this body sometimes. And it does have to do with trauma, because with trauma, you have to do forgiveness. Without forgiveness, you can't have trust. And I feel like, you know, I'm not able to do the things I would want to do. First, I'm a nurse. I was looking at your tattoos. I was like, I want to get some tattoos that remind me, that represent me and how I feel right now. You know, it's like
But okay, what's your name?
My name is Stacy Moshe Evans.
Stacy. So remember this. I dropped a video and I said insane, sane, and supreme.
Right.
Where if you do not allow certain ideologies within your reality, and I mean to truly do not allow them into your heart, they do not exist. That's not possible. What you're telling me is not possible. If you're telling me that I cannot have these tattoos and be in the nursing field, that is impossible. That doesn't even make sense to me, because in my reality, I already see myself next to the doctor helping him doing brain surgery. What are you talking about? I already see that. And you're not strong enough to change my mental projection. I'm the motherfucking controller over here, goddamn.
Come on,
you gonna realize how powerful this brain is. This is where we have to start acting like. And you'll be surprised if you continue acting like this for a day, 3 days, 7 days, 7 weeks, 7 years. They're gonna move out your way when you think of someone moving out your way. They're going to open a door for you when you think of a person opening the door for you. But you have to trust your heart, mind enough to produce these things. Not heart, not mind, heart. I said you have to trust heart, mind enough to do these things. This is key. We are not heart, mind enough. We don't put our heart in these things enough. We put our mind in it. How can this benefit me? How can this make me rich? How can I take advantage of her? How can I get her pussy? How can I get taking his money? Like, this is literally how we're operating our reality. And they know this.
That just keep you engulfed in things that are somewhat insane. It's so crazy you said that, because your heart's magnetic energy is 1,000 times stronger than your brain. And we don't even, and I've been learning about that. That's why when a person dies, their temperature still is actually at a certain frequency, because their heart, that's why we actually do CPR, we defibrillate them. And
you just touched into a real deep topic, because what we will call Satanists are part of the doctor system, and they know that they actually can resuscitate a person that they have deemed dead and actually use them for ritualistic purposes. So you are very accurate with this. This is why in certain hospitals, they have certain doors always closed or always removed from staff, or staff are not allowed within, because this is where they store certain bodies or entities that they actually give off in the middle of the night with refrigerated trucks.
Right. I've been working where they harvest organs, because I work in surgery. Super deep. Super deep. When I see the way that they move, the mechanism of the people that come in to get the organs, it's really, to me, I feel like, where are they taking those For me, because I'm an empath, I can feel energy. It doesn't feel like it's therapeutic. It feels like it's more, the redundancy of it is like they have an ulterior motives. We don't know, even when they take a woman's uterus out, understanding about the placenta and the field and, actually how we connected to our mother through our umbilicus. There's so much power in that. Why are they so quick to take it, and where does it go? Even the placenta, when you have your baby.
They're eating it, but I'm not going to get into that. They're eating it. That's why they refrigerate it. So there's a lot I can tell you about that world.
Forever, because you're a superstar.
Nah, we family. It's cool.
I love that I could talk. I'm talking to you like I've known you my whole life. Like
you have.
I'm right there smoking with you. It's crazy. You are. I love the story about when you told the guy he was going to be going to Mars. Because I meet people sometimes and I can channel, and I'll be in a group of people and there's one or two people that I don't want to read, but I can. Mm-hmm. And when you said that, that's why I love the way that you're able to be 100 within yourself. You're absolutely correct. My willingness not to trust myself, that's why I like to gamble. Because it's like, do I trust myself? Do I want, I'm playing this game. Do I want to bet this much? What do I feel? And I need to get in other chambers of that. Because I have, a lot of information. And it's just sedentary right now. And I think that's why mentally we start to feel disease and unease in our mind. Because our hearts are channeled into something that we're supposed to be bigger than where we're at mentally. Like, how we can be attached to our placenta through our mother, but our heart chakra is attached to the universe. I'll tell you two other things. My birthday is 3-3. I was born 7 pounds, 7 ounces. This is on my birth certificate. Like, my numbers are real. Like, I'm like, there's a purpose in these things. I need to unlock the information. And a lot of people have information. It's not about status financial. It's not about status of how much education do you have. It's about tapping in to where you're at in this sequence of this celestial information. Like, I always say you can close your eyes and you see stars. Your heart, you don't run on batteries. There's some here that the reason why we engage in this warfare for melanated people somewhat is due to what we're supposed to be unlocking. And when we don't unlock it, that's why we transgress. That's why repeated traumas. That's why we can be in this base and we're at the bottom of the pool instead of being able to be lighter. Like right now talking to you, I feel lighter. Mm-hmm. I feel unconsumed. I feel removed. I feel destined instead of how I woke up. And like I wake up to you because you need, that spiritual, that's why churches were so important to our ancestors. Like they needed to be in a celestial body because we need to have that ordainment. We need to feel other people's energy of that spiritualness. And that's why right now we don't have that because we can't trust the church. But I know that there's something that it started from that we need.
Well, here's a little secret, and then I'm going to have to go and let us take another call. Most of us think that
Thank you so much for your time.
No, thank you. Most of us think that we're operating out of 5 separate senses. But the reality is we're not operating out of 5 separate senses. Honestly, we're not operating out of anything but a system of one. So what I mean is that everything is an extension of one specific thing. And this extension, unfortunately, because it should not stem from this polarity, but it does, vision. So everything is about vision. And then from vision, you get your ideas of sound. You get your idea of taste. You get your idea of touch. These are all after vision. Through vision, you are kind of experiencing this mundane existence. That's why people like Stevie Wonder, that's why people like Ray Charles are able to express the universe through music in such magical means, because it's actually not tainted by vision first. That they're actually perceiving their reality through the right sense, which is the sense of sound. Because we're supposed to be more empathetic. We're supposed to feel. We're supposed to hear. And through here, you can literally hear everything. Hear the mother talk to you. Hear the frequency of a person's body. Hear and I'm talking about the sounds. It's an instrument. You're supposed to be able to listen to a person's body like an instrument. And everyone's supposed to be singing. And it's supposed to be like the most beautiful. Think of whoever is your most favorite artist, singer, whatever. That is how a person's body is supposed to sound when they're next to you. But a person's like, oh, and it's like, we don't even hear that because you're looking at them and they got diamonds on them. And you're looking at them and they got a Ferrari. And you're looking at them and they have a $10 million house. So you're like, man, nah, they can't be like, ooh. But that is the truth. But because we're willing to accept vision over sound.
Fuck vision now. I'm going with sound.
I love you. Well, let me take this next call. Thank you, family.
You're welcome. And how can I do my regression? And how do I get in touch with you?
So all regressions I book right on my website, qreeves.com. The best regression I would suggest would be a clearing and cleansing. It's the very first one that's offered on my site.
Okay, let me look it up right now.
All right. Peace, family.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Let's go. Man. All right. Peace. All right.
Hey,
All right, no doubt.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, I don't want to be too loud. I'm trying to call and text and think that. Hey, so I had a question I was going to tell you about when we speak about pods
Okay.
and dimensions.
Okay.
So I was speaking to a shaman, and he was talking about him waking up in pods and everything. So I told him about my experience. He was saying that on each dimensional level, fifth dimension, fourth dimension, all of them, he said there's pods in each one. I told him, I said, man, I woke up in the piping system, in between the dimensions. You know, I said, man, I was in some rusty parts. He said, but I didn't wake up in the actual pod. I was in the actual piping system. So I believe it was the frozen part. I don't know how deep, how they go. It's the frozen part where they were keeping, I guess, our consciousness set. You know what I mean? Like each level had their own dimensions when they was explaining to me. And I was talking to we kept on having a conversation about that.
Oh yeah, no. I can talk a lot about that. I got you. You want me to go with it?
Yes, sir. I'm doing 20 days a week.
No, you're good. Okay. Everything is a pod. Everything is a pod. All right. So process. What is an atom? An atom is a pod. That is your first dimension. You start off as an atom. That is the first dimension. That's your first pod. That pod then becomes an organism. This organism you have defined as an animal. So that animal had to get rebirthed through a new pod. Whether that pod is an egg or a womb, it's a pod. All right. Now, third dimension, humans, Homo sapiens are exiting out of a pod. You can call that pod an egg or a womb. You technically still have the egg on you or with you. You are the egg, technically, still housing the spirit inside of it. Anyway, so you're coming out of a pod. You can call that pod a womb. What is the fourth dimension? The fourth dimension is a death dimension. What is that pod? It's called a casket. These are literally pods. You're entering and exiting different pods as you're going through these different dimensions. The piping system actually is really like, whether you want to call it waterways or whether you want to call it bridges, or in the body, it technically could be like veins. but basically it's an integration system of traveling the different dimensions. And of course, there's gateways guiding these piping systems. So it's odd that you were in the middle of a piping system that showed that you were actually either in an 8th or 9th dimensional construct, because what you're talking about is 1 through 7. Once you get into an 8th or 9th dimension, things is a little different. You could, like, for example, pop up in the middle of a piping system when there's a guard on both sides, and clearly you didn't go by no guard. So, that would probably be something you want to explore deeper in regression, just to see how you might have the ability to do that, or who or what you may be in connection or association to this. Or book a one-on-one and just kind of talk to me more in specifics on what happened, and then I'll be able to give you the specifics on what I think it was directly associated or connected to.
Yeah, I meant to ask you that when we had our first regression. I meant to ask you about it, but I didn't get a chance.
Man, I would have regressed. Yeah, I would have actually regressed you to that time, so then we could have been able to continue that experience. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, you know how the experience goes, so no worries.
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, bro. Have a good day at work. All right. Much love. Peace, man.
Hey, what's up?
How you living?
I'm living good.
All right.
I went to the military. Remember, I had a question for you about the military. You told me, a lot about the stars, the symbols in the U.S. Army.
Mm-hmm.
So when I went in, I met this guy. Called everybody about that name. It was in the park. And I tried to do a regression on it. So when I succeeded in doing the regression, even though I did go through, classes and all that, I didn't expect to be able to. It was kind of just like, I felt it and just did it. When I did it though, we were in his environment of his own subconscious for a good amount of time. Then it changed to my environment of my own subconscious. And I only knew that because it's the environment that I use, for me to fall asleep at night. I want to have a good dream. I set my own environment and fall asleep. So at first we were in Antarctica. And he had his own, beings and their own spirits. And then I stopped. We were on fire. I stopped the drill was coming. And I came back. And then he was like, all right, now we're peace. And I was like, wait. I wasn't paying attention until I realized that he's in my own environment. So I was trying to figure out how to stop that from happening. The next regression I did, when I went to Georgia, because I'm an AIT now. That's when I was basic training. So I'm an AIT and I did another regression. And it was like somewhere, it was this white guy's name, Ron. And she had it somewhere in like Bahamas. She had it in Bahamas, right? He was describing like palm trees and stuff like that. Because that was his favorite place to go. Keep in mind, this is the type of guy that feels like he knows a lot about religion, a lot about, every religion in his own, because he has experienced like Catholicism, he went to private school, all of these different factors playing into his progression. So then he sees like two women and a dog. And again, I had already known that he was in my environment just because of how he described the dog. Every time the dog is a German Shepherd, because that's my dream dog, right? So my main question is the focus to keep, your own personal subconscious away from there, or do you separate yourself so that you're not even mentally there, but you're just listening to what the people are saying? You know what I mean?
Both is possible. Another option that is available is to dictate the tone of the regression, where if its spirit is trying to use quantum mechanics or quantum realm to engage with your mind, you have the ability to actually do it as well. So open your mind enough to kind of figure out where it's trying to avoid, because this is in essence what it's trying to do. It's what you're dealing with is demonic entities. Just so you know, when you're dealing with anything regressive, you are dealing with what could be referred to as a demonic entity. Could be, doesn't always necessarily mean that, but most of the time it is associated to something we could refer to as legion or an archon. Anyway, and then of course these legion or archon has created entities that you refer to as like warlords. So like Genghis Khan, Adolf Hitler. I mean, any person who has created a lot of death or destruction on this planet then has been deified or reanimated into that space around as well. Anyway, so you have the ability to kind of like govern or dictate the tone, and that I would suggest it would be smart for you to kind of not allow it to go into that space or place. So if it's talking about seeing a dog, well, you then say, you know what, I want you now to imagine a bird. Focus and put all your attention and imagination on this bird. Literally change the direction. But you have to know yourself. This once again why they're so adamant. Know thyself, know thyself, know thyself, know thyself. Once you know yourself enough, you know that, wait, hold on, you're trying to enter my space when the whole purpose of this is to tap into you. The whole purpose of this is to unlock you. This has shit to do with me. This is not my session. This is your session.
Right.
You got me G'd up.
Oh. Yeah. I had no idea, because I was really I thought it was me to.
Most people don't. Yeah, most people don't.
The regression.
Most people don't. But you go good, bro. If you have any other questions, like I said, I always offer a one-on-one or anything like that. But you should be good, bro. Just, like I said, make sure to always leave with one's heart as you then enter one's mind, and not the other way around. And you should be good regardless, because you're coming from a space or place that's 1,000 times stronger than anything that could try to affect you or intervene with you on a mental level.
Right. I appreciate it.
No problem, bro. Have a good day. Okay, so I'm just going to read it because I'm going to answer your question without having to go on the phone. So it says, Q, I need your help. My son just got released from prison 2 months ago. He is not my son. I can feel the spirits on him. He's walking the streets, not sleeping, eating, or drinking, bathing as if he doesn't know me. I'll allow him to come over to shower, to eat, and I'll wash his clothes, but the look on his face when I am talking to him is crazy. So I don't keep him around long because I defend myself at all costs. Any advice, anything can help. Sure. 1, you need to straight G the fuck up. Remember, he came out of your pussy. Don't forget that, and neither were the spirits that's in him. They might have attached themselves to your egg, quote unquote, your egg. They might have attached themselves to your egg, but you still have the ability to tap into your egg at any given moment. Bitch, I gave you this egg. If I gave you something, I can take it from you. Don't think I won't take your motherfucking life and get away with it. You need to sometimes get just as fucking crazy as he is. Now, I'm not advising you to talk those talks. I'm just kind of giving you a scenario that may happen. You know, he want to get a little aggressive. You may want to set the tone. You also want to acknowledge that that is not your son. That I am not, say his name is Darius. I don't know his name, but let's say his name is Darius. I know I'm not dealing with Darius right now. You are not Darius. Whatever has attached itself to Darius is who I am communicating and talking to. You lucky I'm washing little funky ass drawers. I actually don't know how much longer I'm gonna even make sure you have clean motherfucking drawers, because your funky ass spirit may deserve funky ass drawers. You're gonna have to really G up. I'm 136 pounds. If I can be this motherfucking gangster, I promise you, Queen, so can you. I guarantee you. And there's no lacking when it's in person. But I'm just saying, another thing you can do is create an ultimatum. Another thing you can do is create literally, you know, a position of power, because technically you are in a position of power. You're washing his clothes. You allow him to use your water, and you're feeding his ass. So this is what you can suggest. I'm not allowing you to eat another meal from me. I'm not allowing you to get another drawers clean or another such and such if you do not talk to this person. I think that he can relate with you. He's been to jail himself. He can talk about the attachments and the things that happen while you are in jail. I need you to do this. I'm not sending you to no therapist. I'm not sending you to some fuck boy. I'm sending you to someone I think is just as relatable as you and is willing to engage with you and your demons. I'm gonna set an appointment up north. Sit your ass down. Let's go to this website together. Sit down. Hello, you see him? This is who you're gonna be talking to. Right here, click, boop. Okay, 2 o'clock. And this is what you're gonna do. What the fuck you gonna say? What are you gonna say? No? You watch his drugs. They might have a funky spirit. They don't want to have no funky balls. I promise you. Just want you to know. Listen, I love y'all. Q gets real sometimes. You know, I can't always just be not more saying. Like, I'm trying to be as realistic as possible. Next call. Hope that helped. Peace, family. How you living? It's cute. I see.
Right.
I had a call. You have any questions, comments, or concerns?
How long would it take someone to learn the knowledge that you have? Yes. How long would it take a person to learn?
All right. Try to turn it down for a second. I heard you. Okay. So I'm still learning. I impress myself sometimes. So I'm so transparent because of a lifestyle. And this lifestyle is not trying to govern or control my next moment. Meaning that I don't even think about what's next. I don't think about how a bill is going to get paid. I don't think about a dream car. I don't think about much. I literally live in my moment. And me doing this consistently for about 6 years now, I have developed a system of awareness within myself and a certain level of trust within myself. that either allows ancestors to potentially possess me and to talk to you guys about information, since this information tends to be accurate over and over again. Sometimes I used to doubt that within myself, like, is even the stuff that I talk about true? And then people pull out ancient books and people talk about all this and that and kind of confirm this over and over again, which helps along the way that, you know, you're not crazy, that the feelings that you are feeling and then articulating into words actually are factual in a sense. So it's just trust. It isn't a book. It isn't me sitting in a room. It isn't me meditating for 10 hours. It isn't any of those things. It isn't me changing my diet. It isn't any of those things. It isn't not drinking soda. I mean, I would be lying saying I don't do any of those things. I do everything you're not supposed to do. But yet I trust myself enough to decide the balance. I'm not drinking a soda every day. I might drink 2 sodas, 3 sodas a month. So what I choose, that's what I want. I get to decide that. You're not gonna cut off soda from my physical being at this moment. I don't want that, you know? So I basically, like, for an example, I was speaking to the spirits, and the spirits was like, we don't tell you what to do because we know that you operate in a philosophy of you're going to do what you choose anyway. So we kind of let you do what you want. But it is good that what you want tends to be a balanced solution. It tends to be more balanced than toxic. Not saying I'm perfect, nor saying I don't have toxic behavior, for sure. Hell yeah. But they're still advocating that because you have this belief in self, I'd rather you follow that and you trust that than us intervene and taint that. And that's what they have told me. Still there?
Yes, I'm here. So in actuality, you said about possession, being possessed. Is the possession something that you're conscious of? Is that what you started on your journey? Is it what you wanted? Are you actually visualizing what you wanted it to be, like the freedom that you have kind of coming out of the matrix? It's because involuntarily I can't, because you have bills, you have things that so because you don't worry about those things. But coming out of that and not determining, like, you know, some people, like in the conscious community, they say conscious people, they don't care about money, they only care about consciousness. And now they're coming around and say, we care about both. So
yeah, no, I'm not going to negate that. I was smart about my circumstances. So like I said, I was not perfect. So Q got creative. Q would do things like go into Marshall's and grab something without a sensor, walk out of the facility, walk back into the facility, take it back, get a gift card, and then sell the gift card to someone in the store. When I mean I would get creative, I would get creative. I'm not willing to accept being struggling or broke, but also not doing something that's harming someone. These companies have tons of money. It's the Robin Hood concept. So I actually lived that life for a long time where I was like, you know what? Why shouldn't I be able to survive off an institution that is butchering the fashion industry, butchering my people, just et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I did not I thought it was balanced. Someone needed to get these motherfuckers. So I thought it was balanced. But that's one example. Another example, I wasn't too egotistical to have a roommate. Yeah, I'm 30 years old, and yes, my roommate is a stud that could probably beat me up, and me and her go head to head. And you know what? It doesn't matter. This is what I have to do to survive at this moment. I'm gonna go just work 3 jobs. I'm gonna stay busy. I'm not saying I didn't address bills. I'm saying I didn't worry about it. I'm not going to find my own apartment if I'm not able to be at that position right now. But most of us will lie to ourselves and say we are. So that's what you're doing. Now you're working 2 times as hard. That's your fault for working 2 times as hard. Should have got a roommate. A roommate would have made your life 2 times easier. So we got to think about these things too. I thought about these things.
Got you. So in the entanglement that you've been able to approach life in, are you able to teach? I mean, I feel like you have broken down so many different subject matters that you could start a school of cueing people on.
So I plan on moving to Atlanta in 2021 and probably producing a physical institution. But I'm going to do this on my own land, and that way I can really start to show people real capabilities. And I'll just say that because I'll say the average person literally uses probably 7 to 10% of their capabilities. I'm not saying brain mass, I'm saying capabilities. Using probably anywhere between 7 and 10% of their capabilities. And what would change your 7 to 10% is literally awareness, like awareness. If I was just able to start showing certain things, for example, a sigil. A sigil is a combination of lines and curves to create a certain symbol. And a star is a sigil. A square is a sigil. It's actually spelling out something. But you wouldn't be aware of that. You wouldn't pay attention to that. And that's just simple. That's light. I have 1,000 of those. So just awareness alone, very simple, evident things, increases it 1 to 3%. So that's just the first layer of what a Q school could do. But this is why I'm dropping a book called Qisms. And this is basically to show the power of one statement and how powerful one statement can be in really configuring not only your own understanding of an idea, but to say that same statement to others so they can get a better understanding of this idea. The problem that we're having in this spiritual communication is interpretation. We're having a problem interpreting our spirit, not feeling it. We all feel it, but getting the words out is the difficulty. So you know what? I want to be as much as an instrument as possible. So I want to be an instrument of that communication, be able to provide the accurate words and sometimes phrases to help express some of the things that we are feeling inside. So that's how I'm gonna start. That's coming like next week.
Okay, I'm gonna follow that. And then another question I have, rapping. I've seen you rap sometimes. Mm-hmm. So where is that along your journey? What vehicle do you use that for? Is that channeling? Do you feel like in some ways that's a possession part?
It is. It's all a possession part. I do not consider my existence not being possessed. Now here you go. For anyone who wants to come at me, I want you to understand in the Catholic tradition, they also believe the same ideology that every hour you are possessed by a different archangel. And they actually write down which angels are connected to which hours. I have the books. So I'm explaining that even in the Catholic Church, they understand that you are possessed every hour. Now, you are also possessed by the seasons. So possession is beyond just Hollywood demons, but you are possessed every moment. But now, what are you possessed by? Well, I'm possessed by my ancestors. Who and what are my ancestors? My ancestors are elders. What are elders? Elders are builders. Well, what are we building? Building on the idea of a cue. Well, what is a cue? To activate or to alert or to cue someone in. And that's all I'm trying to do. Activate, alert, trigger something within you. And they have to agree on that. That is the only thing I'm allowing them to agree on. And they agree.
Okay. So another part of that being in I guess, possession, what people may say. When you see people talking to themselves, like I do that a lot. I'm constantly having somewhat of a conversation. Is that something I need to be aware of? And
yes, you need to figure out who you're talking to. So you don't have a conversation. Would you want to have a conversation with me if you didn't know who I was?
Not at all.
Okay, so why do we do this? We do this all the time. We literally have conversations with parts of ourselves that you clearly know aren't you. but you don't ask it its name. You don't try to put yourself in a clear state, grab a damn pencil. Maybe you can just magically write the name out. They used to do this. Maybe if you're an artist, you can maybe draw the image of what it is that you're feeling. But we do not allow us to express self. If you were to do that, they'll call you demonic. How is it demonic? I'm a good person. I fucking gave food to the homeless last week. Like, I donate clothes. Don't project that on me. Who said I'm a bad person? That is false. That is inaccurate. Now, I still do have something connecting or communicating with me, and this is the easiest modality I have to figure out what it is. I'm not about to go to some other motherfucker to paint a picture for me. Why would I do that? I'm gonna try it myself. I am. Straight like that.
No fear. I can see that would be the only way that you can get out of what this world has created for us. Because they want us to trust other things. Self-trust, self-reliance.
Yeah, and another word for self is selves. And within your selves is your ancestors. You have to trust yourselves.
And I like the way you talked about, because the harvesting season back in like the Egyptian, when they have like the hieroglyphs, they would break it down 12 months, 30 days. On the 5th day in the 360 days of the Nile River would basically run over, so they had to leave. And the priests, they always had ceremonies going on. So I feel like we're still in ceremonies. We're just not at the real table. But ceremonies we're about to celebrate Christmas, a new year. You know, you have all these different countries. They're basically celebrating the same thing. Right now, December, China, it's Christmas time, the red color. You know, I see colors too, and I actually have a lot of things that are matrixy. You know, I heard someone talking about being in a pod. That really reminds me of, like, right now in this rebirth, not a resurgence, but a rebirth. And I also wanted to talk about, like, cannabis. What do you think about how, you know, back 1930s, what did they do after alcohol was abolished? The gentleman who was in charge of that, I would call him a gentleman, but then who did he go after? He went after Billie Holiday. He went after people's, you know, marijuana, hemp, all these natural things that we're supposed to be putting in our bodies that we have not been utilizing for maybe over something like 80 years now. There's a lot of different things going on. And I like the way that, you know, I took a course about cannabis consulting, where you're going to, you know, build your school. That's something I think is a health and healing tool that we need to engage people more in. Because we're coming from where drugs were in existence, and all we understand is making money out of people selling drugs and people going to jail. So then you have the breaking up of family. But actually, Indians and people, Native people, there were festivals and ceremonies around that helped you to enlighten as you go through, you know, your spiritual development.
So these are all the things that I'm trying to bring together. I just said to move to Atlanta to get like minds that are willing to potentially invest or willing to potentially partner up. There is land in many different locations that actually have legal marijuana, and that we will be able to buy land for relatively affordable prices, be able to create you know, habitations on this land, and be able to be very self-sustained based on this land having, of course, access to a lake. So you would be able to get a filter to be able to use the lake as drinking water, and you would be able to have solar panels, you know, and these are all things I have mapped out. My point is that's something I'm already working on, and something I want us to start thinking about as a collective on who we would be comfortable with potentially. I mean, okay, we have to think of these ideologies. And this is why it's so hard for me as a community, because we literally think so backwards. So we're not willing, 100 of us are not willing to come together and invest in, let's say 20 acres and be able to divide these acres up. Let's just say it's a quarter acre apiece. So, and now we each own a quarter acre apiece. Now, your average lot on a house is not a quarter acre. Most houses, especially in the up north, are next to each other. You don't have no space. You have nothing.
5,000 square feet.
Yeah, it's so.
2,500 square feet.
So why would, do you know, it'll probably cost 100. So I know 20 acres for $80,000 right now. So that would literally cost, if I'm doing the math, $8,000 for each person. And then to build or fabricate a home is about $30,000. So now you can be a homeowner for under $40,000. People have $40,000 for designer bullshit in their closet.
Yes.
I'm in a house I own, so I can wear designer shit. I can talk that shit, but I'm saying, is that smart to do? You have a whole closet full of designer shit, but you don't even have anything to yourself. But these are simple ideas. These are simple strategies. I have billions of these. You know, but my point is, these are just the things we have to start thinking of as a community. And not only thinking of, but also willing to accept having someone be a voice to advocate some of these ideas.
Correct.
So,
and also to be able to create a co-op where people who, like you just said, awareness. I'm much aware. Okay, I sold my house. I moved into an area where it was too expensive. So I didn't have enough awareness to understand how to take advantage of that opportunity. But I do know that other opportunities are here and presenting themselves, just like what you just said. Even if people can bring their tools, which are your tools are things that you know how to do to the co-op. You know, like being that person that knows law, being a person who is a realtor, being a person who's involved in healthcare, being someone in the community, like kind of nomadic, and we're actually partnering with each other.
Well,
bigger picture.
Definitely the goal. The goal is to not create a new society. It is to create the current society we're existing in, but done the right way. It is not for us not to have a movie theater. But you know what we need to be having at this movie theater? Lectures, movie breakdowns, symbology teachings. That's what we do on our movie theater on our land. Now, sure, we'll play stuff, and we're not going to separate or negate society. We were raised in this, but we still need to be doing things more effective and efficient. And if the rest of the world don't want to behave that way, it doesn't mean we have to. But we're going to have to come together and start thinking of these things. And ultimately, they're keeping us distracted on everything else but what's real. And what's real is that there's enough land out here for the woke ones to buy and to separate themselves from what they claim to be an unworked society. Period.
Correct. I absolutely believe in what you're saying, because me freeing myself up to do other things has shown me that there's other things out there to do and connecting. You just need to connect with people. And a lot of the connecting comes like ancestrally. That's why you can, I'm sure there's more than 10 people right now that are listening and would want to engage in what you're talking about. Because it's not about having the jewelry, the things that make you look luxurious. It's about having the ability to think long term. And that's what I think about, like what music does. They just ship in every 4 to 5 years people that are taking our dreams, people that are taking the energy of feeling that, immortalization. And about time you look around, you're bypassed your best time to be able to be effective. Mm-hmm. Like what you're talking about, you will do it, whether it's just the right people that are going to come along. I'm like a person that is very interested, and I can bring tools that I know to the table. Am I rich? No, but I'm rich in my mind.
Well, no, that's the only requirement. The requirement, just like any builder fraternity. And this is what you have to understand. I'm not changing the rules of existence. I'm allowing the common man into these secret rules. And or the common person, don't even say man, just person. But in order to be, let's say, a mason, you have to be able to have a skill or something to be able to contribute to the community. So that's all. I mean, even the skill of childbirth is a skill, and you will be honored during your birth. You will be removed from our community to do any labor. I mean, I'm talking about so many forward-thinking concepts when it comes to nurturing and bettering the human experience. But the greatest rule or purpose of whatever you want to call this is that no one is about to to govern you, rule you, define you, speak to you like they're in charge. You are in charge of yourself. And the goal is for you to be sane, if you want to use that word, or wise enough to not behave in a faction or a way that would be considered destructive to yourself or destructive to the community. Now, and that's still something that you yourself get to define. Of course, if we have one cow on the land and your ass goes and slaughters the one cow and eats it for yourself, I mean, we're not gonna beat the shit out of you, but I mean, for real, like that's where we at. You think we're going to be comfortable with keeping you on our land now after you took one thing that's supposed to sustain us? I'm not gonna lash you. They're not gonna lash you. You're gonna lash you. We're gonna ask you questions like, are you sure this is the reality you wanted to produce? How are we supposed to move forward like this? What can you do to allow us to move forward? Maybe we gotta ask them questions. In this community, we don't avoid. That's the biggest thing about how these things are going to work, because avoidance is how we've gotten to the voter position we're in now. As soon as someone has done something we as a community consider taboo or uncomfortable, we have to, as a community, deal with it and address it right away. You know?
So it's like we're governing from that higher power. So basically the people that would be in the collective, that's an understanding, because you don't need...
It's an unspoken, yes, it's an unspoken understanding.
Because we've been through enough trauma where we're in trust.
Yes.
That's what I'm talking about. This is like the meeting after a meeting, the mindset of that. The execution, because the generations under us need that. That is something our elders are telling us.
Listen, and then if we're concerned about financial, I'm a genius. So I understand the purpose of information. And I understand that we're at the age where if you have information, that is how you become profitable. So I offer a service called regressive therapy, where we are actually able to travel into past experiences or past lives to obtain information. I met a neuroscientist out in Hong Kong on this chat app, and he has all the technology you needed to monitor the brain waves, and for us actually now to be able to use this as a scientific tool. So we're actually in the process of connecting and uniting that idea as well. So I'm saying, like, even that information is going to be amongst the community.
Research.
That's my point. That think about what is the possibilities that can come from us finally establishing some type of community that agrees on a possible future that can better our generations.
Correct. I definitely I want to be a part of that. That's what brought me here. It's like your channel, because there's so many channels out here. Out of all the channels in the world, stumbled upon you, getting ready to go into this 2021 with a different type of understanding. And that's what I really think, the world is waiting for. It's not that warfare that everybody's all afraid of and this and that. It's just the insight to not be afraid, have a plan. That will release a lot of the energies. And global, though, I like that you're talking to somebody in Hong Kong. I want to relate different things, because we're all researchers in our own matters. It just depends on how you disseminate the information and who you're disseminating it to. And I love the way you said, like, people, no one's governing over you. We're all sovereign. We all have the autonomy to make decisions and being self-aware. It's like coming into it won't take that long if people can collectively know. Going into this, what are the traumas that always make people not be able to create beyond just the meeting? Why can't we ever essentially plan it all the way through development, look at it, and then be able to say, okay, now let's upgrade it. Let's do this model, like everything that we buy and consume in this consumerism life. It seems like it's always getting better. Why can't we do that?
Yeah.
Starting with this one plan, this community that this people are wanting to develop. I also see things in you, like a lot of, I have to say, a lot of pastime spent in a lot of sexuality, things that kind of take our energy and take our matter And it is because we need group activities, but we're also disseminating and not treating like the younger people that are coming up, giving them the insight to know that they can actually develop and continue doing things in a manner that doesn't have to be self-hate. Like when you see someone, you're always in competition. That's when you are not growing, like upwardly mobile. We're just at a place where we don't get past the energy of just aware, like, okay, this person has something a little bit different than I have, so now I don't like this person. We need to understand collectively the tools that people are bringing to the table. We need all these tools to build this house. And also, we need to be global. Like, that's another reason why I like you, because I know that you are biracial, but you also have, you have the ability to transcend to other ethnic people that you can talk to. And that's something that I can do as well, because that's where a lot of the other energy that we can get over the hate, the self-hate, and just know that was just a moment. Like, if we look at the timeline, even us living 80 years is a dot. So 400 years, what is that? 3-4 dots? That's not your whole existence.
Yeah, for sure. And we have to get past that. And this has to be also part of the ideology moving forward, that we're not trying to keep a slave mentality or a slave past. You literally will actually denounce having an existence as a slave, because there's no longer purpose for accepting you a slave. We have learned every karmic, every lesson, everything that was needed from it. So we no longer have to bring this forward into what we're trying to do, something forward. So yes. Many great things to come. You know, I plan on doing that PSA when it's time to. Not quite ready for that just yet, but I do plan on, you know.
And I would like to donate my time to you in a way, anything that I can do to essentially be a part of that. You know, it's funny, the guy who owns the Dallas Mavericks, whatever the basketball team is, but he had a company, and they had a lady that worked there, and she was a horrible assistant, but she would answer the phone, she would help, and with Mark Cuban, and when his company went like public, he's a billionaire, but the concept was they needed that lead. One day they fired her. It was like, she can't help us, she's not doing anything. But guess what? Nobody was answering the phone. He came, he was like, where is she? And they were like, well, she was gone, she wasn't helpful. But then the phones were ringing and they needed somebody. So that's my whole introduction to people about, you need everybody when you're trying to do something if their heart's in it, because their heart was in it. And that's another thing that I see within our cast of even people of African descent, people here in America. Like, now we're on this caste society where it's like we're coming into where that person is ghetto, but that person is too educated. And it's like that in itself, mentally, those are the things that are holding us back. Instead of looking at somebody with love and trust, like the universe has put you with someone and put also someone with you. And what acts of kindness are you willing to do? To put forward, to believe in somebody, to have that trust. Like, I know you won't forget me. I don't need it in the front. I can be in the back. That's a part of, I do a lot of astrology, you know, looking at my astrology chart, and it says that you are second person. I don't have a problem with that. When I actually now understand that, I'm able to work on self. Each person needs to know when they were born, where does we're aligned, because that's like why beef tastes like beef, pork tastes like pork, ice cream is ice cream, everything with all these cells and all these membranes, it's coming from a few only elements. So these elements work best under these conditions. So a lot of the conditioning we need to be able, we've been conditioned now, listen to this music, makes us feel like this, okay, then we go do this. And that's where I come into the sexuality, the fighting, the hurting of others, the not respecting people's property, just as a whole, is coming from what we've been fed. We've been feeding our minds, and a lot of people, when you try to speak out about that, they got to subjugate to crazy, you don't know anything, or you don't have anything. It's just the whole conversation that I see sometimes, and I'm like, that's the part where there's maybe one or two people that can't speak up, don't have the strength, but there are geniuses amongst us. Mm-hmm. And how can we reach them? That's why I like you, because when you're talking from a place of power, sitting on a chair on a square. You know who you are, you know where you're at with it. And it doesn't have to be, like even when you talk to people, you're just telling them in a way that's non-confrontational, but I see you have conflict inside of you. But you've learned how to navigate that. Mm-hmm. And that's something that I want to be a part of. People know how to be a soldier, but right now we're not doing soldier. Right now we're being in a place of construction, you know? Mm-hmm. Yeah, not destroyed. We're rebuilding. So that's the concept of everything that needs to happen. And it needs to happen fast, because everything is happening fast around us.
It does. So this is what I suggest, and then of course we could talk about this more at a later time. They're working on another stimulus check. I would advise everyone to hold off on this stimulus check. The whole goal is to hold off on the stimulus check so that you can potentially use that to fix your credit. And I don't know how many people have decent credit, but the importance of credit. This would be the importance of credit. But if you have a credit score of probably about 650 or higher, you'll likely be able to get a personal loan of $10,000 as long as you have a job. So you want to kind of just have a stable job, and it would be wise to save that check. Get your credit score up to about a 650, because no bank would deny you of a personal loan of $10,000. That $10,000 locks in the possibility of land. Like I said, even if 5 people had $10,000, you don't think there's land for $50,000? Now you have land. Now you still have the place you're living, you still have your current situation, and then what do? You work on paying off that loan, maybe even paying off 2/3 of that loan. After you have paid off 2/3 of that loan, you then have the possibility of asking for another loan, a greater loan. Get a $20,000 loan. You use the $20,000 to pay the remaining amount of the previous loan, and now you got about $16,000-$17,000 as building material for your home. I mean, I can literally tell people how to do this. It's not far-fetched. It's like right there. It's right there. It's just a matter of people ready to take this.
Real estate license in California and Nevada. That's what kind of brought me here.
Look at that.
Yes. So I'm looking at, and I worked with a developer who built the land by the 105 freeway, and it was in the 90s. They actually had bought it and started building in 2000. So I understand how to go to the bank, get the loans, you can build it, and the foundation, and I know how to do construction lending. So that's why when you're talking to me, and this is something that I want to get involved more with the co-op, like with people, a limited liability company, people that come in, like I said, also things, it's about the money part, but it's also about the contribution to the private, to making sure things are done. And that's because as you grow in any situation systemically, you need to have, like doctors, they have a residency, they have some great lawyers. Everyone has somebody that's mentoring at all times. So I think that would be something I want to be a part of.
No, we're going to figure it out. Nevada actually has a lot of land as well. But yeah, we're gonna I'm gonna lock you in, but also send a text message, just reminding of you and what we talked about. That way I can pay attention to it again when I look at it. Okay?
I'll do that right now.
All right. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Have a good day. Right, we got one more, and then I'm out of here, family. Don't forget, give and receive, $1 holla. Thank you so much for your Cash Apps, family. All right, Mary, I got you. All right, let's go. End it with Mother Mary. Let's get it.
Hello?
Peace, family. Is this Mary?
Yeah, this is Mary Q. How you doing?
I'm doing well. Yourself?
I'm good.
All right. So you are our last.
I feel honored. I'm glad I got you. I've been thinking about this. It happened to me a few weeks ago, and
I was trying to recreate it, and I don't know how to get it back. So I just want to tell you about it to see what you thought, or if you could help me maybe. I have been having like a feeling of not being safe and being watched, and I've been having this feeling for like it's been a while, like maybe like the last 2 years or so. And like you was talking about earlier, sometimes the way I work through feelings is just talking to myself. And when I was talking to myself, I actually got an answer in my head. It was just like, have you asked like why you don't feel safe? And I did. I had never asked myself like why don't you feel safe? So I went and I was, getting ready to go to bed, and I took a bath, and like my bathroom is like the place I feel safe. It's like in a tub, I don't know what it is about it, what it is. And so when I was in there, I asked myself like, again, like why don't I feel safe? So when I closed my eyes, in my, I don't know if I was falling asleep. I won't say I was meditating. When I try to meditate, if I say I want to meditate, I can't. Like I can't clear my mind, so I just go to relax. And when I closed my eyes, I saw like plain faces. I don't know how else to describe it. It was like people that I see and I don't really know them, or like people in my family. Like I saw their faces in my mind, and it was like I got scared a little bit, and like and when I felt myself like feeling afraid, it was like no faces. And so I stared at the faces, and like they started to disappear. But like some of them didn't disappear. Like people names I knew, like those faces disappeared. But like other faces, like if I didn't really know their name, it just like I could still see them. And I've been trying to like make that happen again. I know this probably sounds crazy.
No. Keep going. Stop. Keep going. Because I can tell you what it is.
So the ones that did disappear, it's just like they look so angry and they keep staring at me, and it's like I want like it's out loud. Like,
do you know who those people are?
The ones that did disappear are the ones I don't know like their name.
Okay.
So, like people in my family faces appeared, and it was like all of the faces were so mean.
I got you. But do you know who the ones that stayed? Did you encounter these people in this lifetime?
Yeah, like some of the people is like just people I see at work, but I don't know their name.
Okay.
Or like some people I see around and I just don't know who they are, but I've seen them.
Okay. And are any of them completely unfamiliar to you?
Yeah, some of them are completely unfamiliar.
Okay. All right. So this is what it is. Every single person, of course, has spirits. These spirits can be projected onto a person. The spirit of hatred is a spirit. The spirit of jealousy is a spirit. So what you're getting first and foremost is kind of a bird's eye view of a form of magic to kind of see who is projecting or casting these type of spirits on you. So you actually can produce a shell or wall up against those coworkers that are hating on a real nigga. I'm just saying. So you have the ability to do that. You also have the ability to actually now go into your subconscious more and communicate with the unfamiliar ones that are probably from a past life, and they're angry with you based on some action or something that you've done that you currently don't remember from a past life. So the bathtub is associated to water, and water is associated to a water entity known as Mama Wata. And Mama Wata is the word water. Like every word we use in the English language, not every word, but very powerful words are connected to entities of spirits. Like the word psychic, that's connected to a Greek goddess known as Psyche. So literally a lot of these words are connected to people. So same with what I'm saying. So Mawata, water, is kind of what was communicating with you, and you have how much water in your body. So you're really kind of communicating with her when you're talking to these energies at times, but they're not always her. You can kind of know it's her because it's more embracing, it's more caring, it's more nourishing. But she was kind of trying to answer your questions and trying to help you see this truth. She's kind of like the ayahuasca experience compared to like the salvia experience, where salvia tends to be more aggressive, where ayahuasca tends to be more nourishing. So she's trying to give you more of a nourishing experience into your subconscious. So that's called Mama Wata. So if you actually communicate with that energy as Mama Wata, you will even get more power and what you are experiencing right now?
Cancer, washing methods in the water, but I tried to do it again, and I can't make it come back. Like it's not happening again. So I don't know, like, well, I don't know if I did anything different. I don't think I did anything different, you know, after trying the first time. Well,
I don't bullshit people, because I can tell you whatever you want to hear and convince you to get a regression, but that's stupid. Like, I'm not a car salesman.
I do want one. I'm not scheduled one because I do want one.
I mean, that's just how you get the answer to the question. Yeah, that's how you get the answer to your question. I'm just saying, like, I'm not about to provide no answer for you. You about to. Like, you're about to do this, not me. I'm just guiding you in the process of you.
Thank you so much. That's all I want. I really appreciate it.
All right, well, you have a good day.
Bye.
Bye. All right, family, I am over and out. It's been a nice, long, and eventful live. Thank you so much for your patience. Thank you so much for your super chats. Thank you so much for your cash apps. Thank you so much for your questions. If you enjoyed this, I'll try to come back and do something like this in the near future. You know, with much love, appreciation, you know, honor, and respect. If any of you joined a little later, I was kind of doing this the whole time, and a lot of good questions and a lot of good things came up during this. So thank you so much for channeling to these good questions. Every question was a great question. I was kind of concerned because, you know, imagine, you know, some channels open themselves up to these lines, open themselves up to these communications, and boy, oh boy, the type of reaction that comes to people is immaturity. And I don't hexes, voodoo, I'm just saying it's a system or a degree of immaturity. And thank you so much for being mature. Thank you so much for allowing me to know this is something we can do forward. Till next time.